Dusting, dusting, dusting. Hello, I am Couch Coop Maximus, and we're looking at... You're not Maximus, mate. Come on. We're looking at the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands in both modes on the PlayStation 5. I'm talking about resolution, I'm talking about performance. Really quickly, I had a chap in the comments talk to me about Borderlands 3 and the issues with the text legibility when on split screen, meaning couldn't read a damn thing, all the stats, everything, you have to squint. It's a nightmare, even on a 4K TV. That has been well and truly addressed. It slipped my mind last time I did the PlayStation 4 review of it, but it's been revamped and it's all very column based now, as opposed to a grid system, which is utilising that vertical split.
This world is not for you!
Not even worth harvesting.
We are looking at the quality mode, i.e. the resolution mode. It was the first thing I wanted to test. I wanted to see if the PlayStation 5 is giving us maybe more than 30, maybe a locked 30. Now, I'll say this hand on heart, it is a locked 30. The game has some very strange performance issues in areas, but they don't seem to be consistent with the gameplay. It's probably the best looking split screen current gen game available at the moment. I don't say that lightly. This game fires on all cylinders when it comes to the specials and the bullets and the enemies. It's incredible. I will say, after smashing, I reckon 5 to 10 hours only on the split screen mode with this game, it's more the same when it comes to the Borderlands content. And my advice with this is, if you have not bought Borderlands 3, it is currently available extremo cheapo at the moment. That is a game that boasts a wealth of content in this direction, all on a split screen level and with vertical and horizontal. It's just the logical place to go if you've not got into this genre at all. And the Tiny Tina Assault on Dragon's Keep, which I'll put the link in description for. Lucky enough we had that free for the previous month. You might have got it, you might have downloaded it. Again, that is the best place to start. This is only worth looking at or buying if you're heavily into split screen like my good self, really love the Borderlands franchise and that looter-shooter system, and just want to see more from the characters, more areas, more cool new weapons, and getting into that sort of spell leveling RPG element that they've injected into, which we'll have a look at. Let's talk about that spell system and what's happened to the grenades. Well, basically they've gone and they're replaced by a really wide range of varied spell types. And of course you get to rank this up. At the moment it's just the sheep turning into a sort of nerfed version of the enemy that you can then shoot down, but things are going to get hella crazy on that front, I can guarantee it. My character had a sword that I could put down that would spin on the ground, thus giving damage on anything in the area. It's very exciting, it's very different from the grenade system, and it's quite obviously a direction that they're focusing in. Something weird's happened to the weapons. What I'm talking about is their variety and their output. There seems to be a massive focus on ice, and the shotguns have this linear, or some of them do, output, which is very hard to work with, and you're looking at some quite traditional crossbow / machine gun contraptions. I hope that the variation pool deepens going forward with that, because the stuff we're picking up at the moment just seems really lackluster. And check out the list loot on the right. Gone forever. What has stayed consistent are the cool characters, the cool writing, and the cool environments. One of the attractions to the Tiny Tina canon is that you're in a medieval landscape operating some really badass weaponry and kicking the ass out of like traditional enemies, goblins, skeletons, ogres. It's a great marry-up of tech and fantasy. And that's very much pushed here, but they've lent back a little bit more on the fantasy to try and give some longevity or immersion to the character leveling system. Hence that massive variety on the melee weapons, which comes in the form of broadswords, big axes, double-headed axes, which adjust your swing speed and damage output, and of course to the spell and conjuring section that we spoke about earlier. The way that frozen dragon dropped out of the sky like that, and the amount of activity that's going on screen at the moment, and the speed at which it's doing it, i.e. no major frame drops, is kind of gobsmacking. By the way, we are on performance mode now because this area is particularly busy, but this was so damn cool. The rainbow going over the castle on the horizon and all the specials going. We were starting to get introduced to some range skellies. Things got very, very intense and it was all welcome. Is this better than Borderlands 3? Well, that's a very tough question. And if you follow me on PSN, you'll know that I'm now looking at Borderlands 3 under massive scrutiny because I think the two games have quite different directions, especially with weapons and loot. And of course, Borderlands 3 is very deeply steeped in massive weapon and bullet sort of projectile variety. This is more focused on that cool story environment, medieval aesthetic, and having a damn good laugh.
This is my boomstick!
Which it totally delivers on, and that's kind of one of the points of the video, is that you probably have exhausted all of the good first person shooter split screen content out there, both for the PlayStation 4 and 5, and this is a perfect dose of variety, change, still given that familiarity of a brilliant looter shooter, but just so fresh feeling because of the melee system and the colours and some of the new characters. It's like a very expensive massive bit of DLC. That's the truth, but that is not a bad thing. I love the fact that it's standalone and available on all systems and blatantly takes advantage of the PlayStation's 5 power when it comes to splitting those screens up. Cold War Call of Duty is the only other game and Gears that come anywhere close to the intensity, performance, smooth frame rates and high resolution that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands does. It's kind of a showstopper when it comes to split screen.
Queen Bud Stallion coming in with...
And talking of stopping the show, we had a huge freeze. We had two huge freezes, and this was really interesting because I was talking to Kez about whether this is better than the Tiny Tina that I forced her through a couple of weeks ago, and she said, yeah, it is loads better, but that didn't freeze on us, did it? And I thought, crikey, you're right there. We didn't suffer any issues on that base level PlayStation 4 free Tiny Tina Assault on Dragon's Keep content. This section was very cool, almost making us split up, a lot of traversal, narrow ledges. I'm having to try and support Kez from a distance, specials are getting used everywhere. It is a lot of fun and the levels have been designed with more than one player in mind. I think that's extremely important.
It seems I am not alone.
Check out this screen on the right, look at this. That freaked me out. I love that. But back to my point, they have taken a bit of time to try and design this game to involve everybody, and if you're playing it with just two people, there are sections where you have to work stuff out, you get split up a little bit, there is no tethering whatsoever, which is amazing. You are very autonomous. Someone can go and do some crazy loot search and the other person can hold down an area. It's pretty ideal for cool teamwork, and I, as I always say, need to get this going on 4 players on the PlayStation 5. I will promise to get that content out as soon as I possibly can, but this is not a disappointment. It just is samey in areas and it's expensive for what it actually is, but I reckon there's at least 60 to 90 hours of content in here. I'll finish it, I'll let you know what it's all about, and it's got to go up against all of the other couch co-op campaigns that are available on the 5 and 4. That list is coming together now, and if you can imagine, I'm going right back to Resident Evil 5, Divinity Original Sin 2, Outward. Crazy stuff's going to be on that list. It's going to be huge, and I'm very much looking forward to your feedback on it. So that's Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I would recommend this game on the PlayStation 4 Pro, runs perfectly, and the PlayStation 5 runs immaculately on both resolution and quality. See, when things get busy, you might want to flip it out, but this is kind of the current gen promised land, and it's up there with some of the best couch co-op split screen campaigns on earth. Is it a brilliant Borderlands game? I'm still focused on 2 and 3 for that medal. I'll see you down there.